So, have you ever gotten a postcard, or better yet, seen one in like the movies where it says "Wish you were here"? And it usually depicts an image of something like paradise or the perception of paradise. Usually the beach, someplace exotic, maybe France or something like that. And what it is places that we've said collectively as a society, we deem these places valuable to reach as a destination. And that's where we wish other people were with us. Now, the problem is like when you deal with that in relationships, we all know that there's one side of the story, there's the other side of the story, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth. So when you're getting postcards as somebody who's not involved from one side or the other, hold off before you start booking your flights and making plans to go to that destination, because generally what you're hearing is one person's perception of reality, which is not always reality. Because again, there's one side, the other side, and generally the truth. So what I'm saying is be careful before you just start openly taking sides. And I know a lot of times it's a loyalty factor. Somebody might be a friend, somebody might be family, somebody just might be more, I guess, believable in your estimation, or you've seen one person do something that sounds like what they're being accused of. You just never know. So just be careful before you go all into one side or the other when it comes to that. Because once you get there, you might realize, oh, this isn't what I thought that it was. And that postcard was only a snap in time from part of their thought process. But by the time you get there, it could be much worse. By the time you get there, whatever it is that they were trying to portray may not necessarily be the same. So just like in real time, if you saw a postcard of the beach, and then by the time you actually flew there and got there, well, the temperature's probably changed depending on when you traveled. It's not going to be as sunny, or maybe it's colder than you thought, because in the picture I saw the sun, but they didn't tell you that the sun even being out, it's still breezy because you're next to the water off of the beach. So there can be a lot of things that change your reality once you step foot into what that postcard represented. So just be careful when you're sending those out. It happens to all of us, or it has happened, or maybe to somebody we know, somebody close to, where two sides, and somebody starts telling things that aren't always true. It's a postcard. Come to my side. I need the support. I need the help. This person did this, that, and the other. And it's not always true. And that's a terrible way to communicate, not only with the person you're at odds with, but it's a terrible way to communicate with the people that you are sending these postcards to, because a lot of times we know that it's not true, but ego just keeps us from just saying, I need help. I'm in a really hard place right now. I need help. And so sometimes pictures get painted and it starts to create this notion that this is something different. This is in this picture exactly what it is, and it's actually something far different, and it can be far more dire, especially if somebody's gotten to that point of painting pictures to bring people in. These are forms of manipulation. It's lying in a lot of ways, and it's sad because for the people who booked their flights and invested themselves personally or financially, depending if they're just helping somebody or whether they actually travel someplace, it's almost fraudulent. And then they've been duped for resources, whether it's their energy, whether it's their money, but either way, it's their time. And we're not guaranteed a lot of time in this world. We don't know. Each second is valuable, so we don't want to spend that on something that isn't true. But before you book, before you take that in, we as non-involved participants should certainly be doing our due diligence. Looking into it, maybe asking a few questions, really reading the sender of this postcard, really looking at the resort that you're going to book. Is it close to the beach? Is it in a good area? Is there an Uber that can get you where you need to go? Do they have the breakfast amenities? Like, those are things that we would look into if we were traveling. Is there a better rate depending on what airline we're going to take. All of those things, we look into those. We need to do the same and not just start believing things at face value, no matter how much we want to believe that person. Because when somebody's in pain, they may not be capable of telling a specific set of truths. Maybe saying it's lying is a little harsh, but in a lot of cases it's not. In a lot of cases, we've seen people make specific allegations designed to go after somebody's character, credibility, and possibly, in some cases, their ability to parent or their ability to earn money. There's a lot of things to that. There's some really not good things out there. So before we start to just look at the postcard and say, oh, I wish I was there too, you got to be careful, because what somebody is sending you in the form of an emotional postcard, it may actually be an SOS. So we got to keep in mind that not everything we are being told or given as information is actually accurate. And as much as somebody might want to believe in their mind that it's accurate, may not be. So be careful. Be careful before you take on the destination of investing emotionally, of investing financially, any of those things. Be careful before you take on that destination, before you start calling and saying, I need to book this trip. Is it a trip that you need to take, or is it one that from a distance you can say, well, I can see what the postcard looks like. It looks nice, but that may not be for me. Or I hear what you're saying, and unfortunately, that's something that I still have to, not fully vest myself into until I know a little bit more. It sounds harsh. It sounds like you're not trying to be supportive, but honestly, being supportive is being as honest as you can. And if that means you have to take a second to not react emotionally, which this person sending the postcard already is doing, our best role is to think logically and slow it down and just say, okay, let's take a minute, let's take a breath. Same way if somebody was injured, we would try to calm them down if they were panicking, because we want them to be able to recover quicker, and we need to be able to figure out what it is that's causing the most pain to be able to help them. And that's if we can help them. Sometimes people need more qualified help, and that's the best thing that we can do, is not step in and say, this is not for me to really take on. I can listen, I can support, I can get you the emergency services that you need, but you honestly need more help than I can provide, and I will be happy to help you get to that point. But the postcard, it paints a beautiful picture sometimes, and it makes things look a very inviting sort of way. But you really got to be careful, because seeing is believing. And once you get to where you have been invited to or wish that you were there, may not be that at all. So you got to really be careful when it comes to that, and tell yourself, yeah, this looks great. It's not quite the temperature that I thought. And be able to call the person out who sent that. Hey, what happened? This isn't that place at all. So what's really going on? Is there help that needs to be done, or what happened to this place? And it's not a bad thing to ask people what happened. Why? How? Where? When? Get some explanations and have a real conversation when it comes to that. I know I'm using examples all over the place, but I think you get the picture. When somebody is reaching out for help, whether they have feel they've been wronged, whether they actually have been wronged, any of those things, we as those that they come to for support should look at this really, in an objective manner and not react emotionally as they may already have. Think logically and understand that a lot of times in personal relationships, there's a lot that we don't see, and there's two sides to it. So unless we get both sides, or until we get both sides, then we may want to just hold off on judgment and action. So I don't know, just something that leapt to mind as things that I think we've all gone through. And I'd like to hear your side of this coin when it comes to that. What's your ace up the sleeve, your advice, comment, experience on something like this? Again, loyalties are a great thing, but again, sometimes being really loyal means like being able to tell somebody an honest truth that this postcard is not representative of where I just came to. So what happened? And as always, subscriptions to the channel are free. So I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity, and as always, subscriptions and videos. So stick around.